Indigenous Rights Radio, because knowledge is power.
From November 10 to 21st, 2025, the UN Climate Change Conference, commonly referred to as COP30, is taking place in Belém, Brazil. The city, called the gateway to the Amazon rainforest, this major global meeting has gathered government representatives from 198 countries, alongside UN bodies, civil society, academia, private sector, and significant delegations of indigenous peoples, women, and youth. Notably, this year has the largest ever participation of indigenous peoples in the conference series, with over 3,000 indigenous delegates registered. Cultural survival is engaging with indigenous leaders and their representatives to understand their goals for COP30.
I'm Joan Carling from Indigenous Peoples Rights International, and I am an indigenous person, a Kankaney from the Cordillera, Philippines. What we have achieved so far in this COP30 in Belém are three major commitments made by states and donors. One is the forest pledge of 1.8 billion that will support the protection of land-based ecosystems and not just only forests. And there is a clear commitment to provide direct access to indigenous peoples. So that will then support the important work that indigenous peoples are doing to protect forests and biodiversity. The second commitment is the intergovernmental commitment on land tenure. And with this commitment, a number of governments committed to demarcate and provide legal security to 160 million hectares of land. That is a milestone if the governments will really deliver, and we hope they will deliver on this commitment, because this is needed for us to combat climate change. The third is the commitment to protect forest forever, and this is called the Tropical Forest Forever Fund. So governments participating in this funding platform will commit to protect the forest and will be paid for protecting the forest, not based on the carbon market. So it's really more to incentivize them to make the forest, to keep the forest standing. So these are the three commitments already made that are significant for indigenous peoples. But this is just a drop in the bucket in terms of the challenges that indigenous peoples face in relation to climate change. What we need to achieve more in this COP is to have an explicit language or commitment and action by the parties to ensure the protection of the right to lands, territories, and resources of indigenous peoples in climate action. Because without that, the mining of transition minerals, the imposition of renewable energy projects that are causing land grabs, it's a major source of land grabbing. If our land rights are not protected, and if our free, prior, and informed consent is not obtained. So this is a critical issue and action that we need to have in this COP. That's one. The other one is we need more support in terms of resources and finance to support the initiatives of indigenous peoples for climate mitigation and adaptation, including innovations to strengthen our resilience against the impacts of climate change. This is an issue of climate justice. This is an issue of ensuring rights, and this is an issue in protecting the planet that we all depend on. It is important for indigenous peoples to continue to defend and protect our lands, our resources, our rivers, our oceans, our forests, our savanna, all the ecosystems. This is the contribution we are making. And I know that indigenous peoples are under attack for doing this kind of work. So we need to work together against the attacks to indigenous rights defenders. We need to build our solidarity, we need to demand accountability, and we need to work together for climate justice.
For more information on the rights of indigenous peoples, visit cs.org and follow Cultural Survival on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Threads, and Blue Sky.